This section, we will talk about some rules behind trade pattern or who trades with whom. The main tool to explain this is gravity model. Let's take USA as an example. Figure 1 shows that in 2006, the 5 largest trading partners with the United States were Canada, China, Mexico, Japan, and Germany. Figure 2 shows in 2015, the 5 largest trading partners with the United States were China, Canada, Mexico, Japan, and Germany. Besides this, from Figure 1 and Figure 2, we also find that Germany, United Kingdom, France, the 3 European biggest countries, ranks among the top 10 who trade with USA. As for this, maybe we can have some questions as below. The first, why in 2006, Canada is the United States' biggest trader, while in 2015, China substituted Canada to be the number 1. The second, why Canada and Mexico trade so much with USA. The third, why the 3 European giants, Germany, United Kingdom, and France, usually had a closer trade relationship with USA. Does it have any rule behind this? In order to answer these questions, we need to introduce an important model. It is called gravity model. The basic form of the gravity model equation is Tij equals A multiply Yi multiply Yj divided by Dij, where A is a constant term. Tij is the value of trade between country I and country J. Yi is the GDP of country I. Yj is the GDP of country J. Dij is the distance between country I and country J. Or more generally, the equation can be rewritten like this. Tij equals A multiply Yi with A multiply Yj with B divided by Dij with C, where A, B, C are allowed to differ from 1. From the gravity model equation, we can find that the value of trade between 2 countries depends on 2 important factors. One is economic size, and the other is distance between them. But the relationships of these 2 factors with the value of trade are opposite. The former is positive, the latter is negative, which means the bigger the economic size or sizes are, the larger the value of trade between the 2 countries will be. Oppositely, the longer the distance between the 2 countries is, the smaller the value of trade between the 2 countries will be. The logic supporting this equation is that large countries have large incomes to spend on imports and produce a large quantity of goods to sell as exports. This means that the larger that either trade partners is, the larger the volume of trade between them. At the same time, the distance between 2 trade partners can be substituted for the transport costs that they face, as well as proxy for more intangible aspects of a trading relationship, such as the ease of contact for firms. Estimates of the effect of distance from the gravity model predict that a 1% increase in the distance between countries is associated with a decrease in the volume of trade of 0.7% to 1%. The gravity model is a useful tool being used to estimate or to explain the trade relationship between 2 economies. So, according with this, it's easy for us to answer the questions above. The first question, why in 2006 Canada is the United States' biggest trader? Well, in 2015, China substituted Canada to be the number one. As for this question, it is because China's economic size expanded. The GDP of China in 2015 was 3 times the GDP in 2006, and ranked number 2 only after USA itself. The second question, why Canada and Mexico trade so much with USA? One important reason for this question is that they are neighbors of USA, which means the distances of them to USA are quite short, so the transportation costs very low. The third question, why the 3 European giants, it means Germany, UK, and France, usually has closer trade relationship with USA? Once again, it's because of the economic size. Figure 3 shows the relationship between size of European economies and the value of the trade with the United States. From this, we can find that the trade relationships of European individual countries are closely related with the economic size. Because Germany, United Kingdom, and France are the biggest economies in Europe, so the trade relationships with the USA are also relatively closer than other European countries. Besides economic size and distance, any more factors affect trade patterns? The answer is yes. Even economic size and distance are two crucial determinants of trade pattern. There are still some other factors also affect trade relationships between countries. Among these, the first is cultural affinity. Close cultural ties, such as common language, usually lead to strong economic ties. For example, while Ireland trades much more with the United States than predicted by a gravity model, it's because Ireland has a strong cultural affinity with USA due to common language and the history of migration. The second is geography. Usually, ocean harbors and the lack of mountain barriers make transportation and trade easier. For example, while Singapore has close trade ties with lots of other countries, it's because Singapore has a geographic advantage. The third is multinational corporations. Corporations spread across different nations import and export many goods between the divisions. So the more country A and country B invest on each other's market, maybe the stronger the trade relationship between them will be. The fourth factor is trade agreements. As we all know, that trade agreements between countries are intended to reduce the formalities and tariffs needed to cross borders, and therefore to increase trade. Let's take NAFTA as an example. USA, Mexico, and Canada signed a free trade agreement in 1994. It's called the North American Free Trade Agreement, or North American Free Trade Area. Because of NAFTA, and because Mexico and Canada are close to the United States, the amount of trade between the USA and its northern and southern neighbors as a fraction of GDP is larger than between the United States and the European countries. For example, Canada's economy is roughly the same size of Spain's, but Canada trades as much with the United States as does all of Europe. The fifth, political factor such as wars will affect trade relationships fiercely. For example, the two world wars have affected the world trade deeply. Figure 5 shows the ratio of world exports of manufactured goods to world industrial production from 1900 to 2010. From this, we can find that from 1900 to 1930, the world trade expanded consistently, while it suffered a sharp decline due to the two world wars and the Great Depression. It started to recover around 1945, but did not recover fully until around 1970. Since 1970, world trade as a fraction of world GDP has achieved unprecedented heights. During this, the vertical disintegration of production has contributed to the rise in the value of world trade through extensive cross-shipping of components. Estimation shows that a $100 product can give rise to $200 or $300 worth of international trade flows. Now, let's focus on individual countries. Nowadays, we can find that the trade relationship between China and Japan also influenced by the political issues. Currently, the trade war between USA and China also relates with political competition or confliction between these two big countries. Lastly, the border effect also has impact on trade relations between countries. Take USA and Canada as an example. Even with a free trade agreement between the United States and Canada, which use a common language, the border between these countries still seems to be associated with a reduction in trade. Figure 6 and Table 1 show that there is much more trade between pairs of Canadian provinces than between Canadian provinces and the United States. Even when holding distance constant, estimates indicate that the USA-Canadian border deters trade as much as if the countries were 1,500 to 2,500 miles apart. In 2013, the WTO members had signed an important agreement, Trade Facilitation Agreement. One aim of this agreement is to weaken border effects and facilitate trade across borders. Estimation shows the implementation of this agreement can promote world merchandise trade with more than $1 trillion. In conclusion, the gravity model is an important tool to estimate and explain trade relationship between countries. This model includes two crucial determinants. One is economic size and the other is distance. However, besides these two determinants, there are still too much other factors that affect trade relationship between countries. For example, cultural affinity, geography, MNCs, trade agreements, political factors, border effects, and so on.